The babies were crying. All four of them, at once, like they'd coordinated it. Planned this symphony of need at 3:47 a.m. specifically to break her. Adesola sat in the nursing chair, one baby at her breast, another in the bassinet beside her screaming, two more in the nursery down the hall, adding to the chorus. Her body ached. Her nipples were cracked and bleeding. Her eyes burned from exhaustion. The house was silent except for the crying. 42 rooms and not one other person awake to help. Taehyun hadn't come home in 3 days. She switched the baby. Jinwoo, or was it Jihoon? She couldn't think straight anymore. 6 weeks postpartum, and she still couldn't tell her sons apart in the dark. People said mothers always knew, that some instinct kicked in. But Adesola was running on 2 hours of sleep and a body that had been split open to deliver 4 humans who all needed her at once. Her phone buzzed on the side table. She ignored it. It buzzed again. She picked it up with her free hand. Taehyun. Still at the office. Don't wait up. It was almost 4 in the morning. She typed back with shaking fingers. The babies haven't stopped crying. I need help. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Taehyun. Call the night nurse. We don't have a night nurse. Taehyun. Then hire one. She wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, she set it down gently, carefully, like if she controlled this one small thing, she wouldn't completely fall apart. The baby at her breast had fallen asleep. She moved him to the bassinet, successfully, miraculously, and picked up the screaming one. This was Jisoo. She could tell by the birthmark on his left foot. She started crying as she fed him, silent tears that dripped onto his face. He didn't notice, just kept eating with desperate little gulps. Hello, viewers. This is to say a very big thank you for all your support through your everyday engagement on this channel. We see all these and are not taking them for granted for being part of our audience. Before we continue, kindly subscribe to this channel as you don't want to miss our subsequent stories here. Drop a comment below telling us where you are watching this video from. Now, let me take you back to how it all started. 6 weeks ago, Adesola gave birth to 4 sons. 6 weeks ago, her husband had stood in the delivery room looking at her like she'd failed him. 4 boys, he'd said flatly. All boys. Like it was her fault, like she'd chosen their gender out of spite. His mother had been worse. No girl, Mrs. Choi had said, her face twisting with disappointment. Not even one. Adesola had just had her abdomen cut open, had 4 humans removed from her body in the span of 6 minutes, was being stitched back together while her sons screamed in their incubators, and they were upset about gender. I'm sorry, she'd whispered, drugged, delirious. I'm sorry. She'd been apologizing ever since. The sun came up slowly. Gray. Seoul in January was brutal, cold in a way that got into your bones. Adesola managed to get all 4 babies fed, changed, and back to sleep by 6 a.m. It felt like winning a war. She collapsed on the couch in the nursery, just for a minute, just to close her eyes. She woke up 2 hours later to Mrs. Choi standing over her. You're still in your nightgown, her mother-in-law said, not a question, an accusation. Adesola sat up quickly, too quickly. Her vision went spotty. I was feeding the babies. I must have... It's 8:30. The house is a disaster, and you're sleeping. I'm not sleeping. Where is Taehyun? At the office. Still? He didn't come home last night? Adesola didn't answer. Mrs. Choi's expression shifted. Something that looked almost like pity crossed her face, then hardened into something else. "Get dressed," she said. "We need to talk." They sat in the formal living room, the one Adesola never used because it felt like a museum. Expensive furniture no one was allowed to sit on, art no one was allowed to touch. Mrs. Choi poured tea with precise movements. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Tired." "That's normal. 4 babies. It's a lot." Adesola waited. This wasn't a social visit. "I've been thinking," Mrs. Choi continued, "about your situation, about the boys. What about them? 4 children is too many for one woman to handle, especially," she paused, chose her words carefully, "especially someone without family support." Adesola's chest tightened. "I can handle it." "Can you? Look at yourself. You're exhausted. This house is falling apart. My son hasn't been home in days." "That's not because of the babies, isn't it?" Mrs. Choi set down her teacup. "Adesola, I'm going to be honest with you. When Tae-hyun married you, I was resistant. You're not Korean. You don't understand our ways. But I accepted it because my son loved you. Or said he did. He does love me." "Did he tell you that recently?" Adesola couldn't answer, because Tae-hyun hadn't said he loved her in months, maybe longer. "I want to help you," Mrs. Choi said. "I want to make this easier for everyone." "How?" "Let me take 2 of the boys, raise them in my house. You keep 2. It splits the burden, makes everything manageable." Adesola stared at her. "You want to take my children? I want to help you." "By taking my children?" "By giving them a proper home, with proper care, with a Korean upbringing." "They have a proper home, here, with me." Mrs. Choi's expression went cold. "Do they? Look around, Adesola. You can barely care for yourself. How are you going to raise 4 boys? Feed them? Educate them? Give them the life they deserve?" "I'm their mother. And I'm their grandmother. And I have resources you don't. Money, staff, connections, everything these boys will need to succeed in this country. They're not going anywhere. You don't have a choice." "Yes, I do. I'm their mother. Legally, biologically. You can't just take them." Mrs. Choi stood up, smoothed her skirt. "We'll see about that." She left. Adesola sat alone in the museum living room, shaking. She called Tae-hyun immediately. He answered on the 5th ring. "I'm in a meeting. Your mother was just here. She wants to take 2 of the babies." Silence. "Did you hear me?" "I heard you. And we'll talk about it later." "No, we'll talk about it now. She's trying to take our children." "Adesola, I don't have time for this." "Make time." She never yelled, never raised her voice. It shocked both of them. "I've given birth to your children," she continued, voice shaking. 4 of them. I've destroyed my body. I haven't slept in 6 weeks. I'm alone in this house with 4 crying babies and your mother threatening to take them. The least you can do is talk to me." More silence. Then, "My mother has a point." Her heart stopped. "What?" 4 kids is a lot. Maybe splitting them up." "Are you insane? They're our children, our sons. You want to just give them away?" "Not give them away. Let my mother help raise them. She has experience, resources." "I have experience. I'm their mother." "You're exhausted, Adesola. You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking perfectly clearly. You want to get rid of our children because they're inconvenient." "That's not what I said. It's what you meant. I have to go. Tae-hyun." The line went dead. Adesola sat holding her phone. One of the babies started crying upstairs, then another, then all 4. She didn't move, just sat there listening to them scream. wondering how her life had become this. Dear viewers, we want to be sure you are part of our rising audience. To help us do this, kindly subscribe to this channel. Also, tell us in the comment section if you love this video. Let's take you back to how this union started. Adesola met Tae-hyun 3 years ago at a conference in New York. She'd been presenting research on international trade law. He'd been in the audience. Afterwards, he'd approached her. "That was brilliant," he'd said in perfect English. "Thank you. I'm Tae-hyun, Choi Tae-hyun." She'd recognized the name. Choi Industries, one of the largest conglomerates in South Korea. Adesola Okonkwo. Nigerian? Yes, you've been? Once. Lagos, beautiful city. They talked for 2 hours about trade, about law, about everything. He was charming, smart, interested in her in a way men usually weren't. Most men saw her degree and got intimidated, or saw her skin and got curious in a way that made her uncomfortable. Tae-hyun just saw her, or so she'd thought. They dated long distance for 6 months. Him flying to New York, her flying to Seoul. It was romantic, expensive, the kind of relationship that felt like a fairy tale. His proposal had been simple, in her apartment, no grand gesture, just him on one knee saying, "I want to spend my life with you." She'd said yes. The wedding had been in Seoul, traditional, his family's church. Her family couldn't afford to fly over, all of them, so just her mother and sister came. They'd looked so out of place. Her mother in a dress from Target standing next to women in couture. But Tae-hyun had been attentive, kind, had made sure they felt welcome. His mother, though. Mrs. Choi had smiled for the photos, had given the appropriate speeches, but Adesola had seen the way she looked at her, like something temporary, a phase her son would outgrow. The first year had been good. They'd lived in a smaller apartment, Tae-hyun's bachelor place. He was building his own division within Choi Industries, working all the time but coming home excited, talking about his day, asking about hers. She'd gotten pregnant accidentally. They'd been trying to be careful, but life happened. Tae-hyun had been thrilled. "A baby," he'd said, touching her still flat stomach. "Our baby." Then the ultrasound at 12 weeks. "It's multiples," the doctor had said. "Twins?" Adesola had asked. "Quadruplets." The room had spun. 4 babies. Tae-hyun had gone pale. "How is that possible? We didn't do IVF." "It's rare, but it happens. Spontaneous quadruplets. About 1 in 700,000 pregnancies." "Are they healthy?" Adesola had asked. "So far, yes, but high risk. You'll need bed rest, specialized care, likely an early C-section." Tae-hyun had held her hand in the doctor's office. But when they got to the car, he'd said, "4 babies. How are we going to manage 4 babies?" "We'll figure it out. My mother is going to lose her mind." He'd been right. Mrs. Choi had taken the news like a death sentence. 4, she'd said. "At once?" "It's a blessing," Adesola had tried. "It's a burden. Do you have any idea the cost, the logistics? This is going to ruin Tae-hyun's career." How would it ruin his career? Because he'll be distracted, stressed. Everyone will be watching to see if he can handle it, if he's strong enough to lead while managing a family crisis. Having children isn't a crisis. Having 4 at once is. That had been 7 months ago. Since then, Mrs. Choi had been strategic, helpful in ways that felt like control. She'd bought the house, 42 rooms in Gangnam. Too big, too expensive, too much. "The babies need space," she'd said. She'd hired staff, cleaners, a cook, a daytime nanny, but only daytime. Nights were Adesola's responsibility. "Mothers should bond with their children," Mrs. Choi had said. especially in those early months. She'd bought clothes, furniture, everything, all without asking what Adesola wanted, just deciding, controlling, making sure Adesola understood her place, which was guest in her own life. The babies were 8 weeks old when Tae-hyun stopped sleeping in their bedroom. "I need rest," he'd said. "For work, I can't function on 2 hours of sleep." "Neither can I. You're on maternity leave. You can nap during the day." "When? Between feeding 4 babies every 3 hours?" "The nanny can help." "The nanny leaves at 5. Then it's just me, all night, every night. Adesola, I'm building something. This division, it's my future, our future. I need to be sharp. And I need to not collapse." But he'd moved to the guest room anyway. Then he'd started coming home late. Then not at all. Now it was week 8, and she'd seen him twice. Both times he'd looked at the babies like they were strangers, like he couldn't quite believe they were his. At 10 weeks, Adesola's sister called from Lagos. "How are you?" Chichi asked. "Tired." "That's normal with a newborn. 4 must be—" "Chichi," Adesola's voice cracked. "I think my marriage is falling apart." Silence on the other end. "What happened?" She told her everything. The absent husband, the controlling mother-in-law, the exhaustion, the fear. Chichi listened, then said quietly, "Come home." "What?" "Come home, to Lagos, bring the babies, stay with Mama, we'll help you." "I can't just leave." "Why not? What's keeping you there? A husband who doesn't come home? A mother-in-law who wants to steal your children?" "It's not that simple." "It is that simple. You're miserable, isolated. He's treating you like you're nothing. He's just stressed. The babies were unexpected. So were you going to stay stressed forever?" "Adesola, listen to yourself. You're making excuses for a man who can't even look at his own children." "I love him." "Does he love you?" Adesola didn't answer, because she didn't know anymore. At 3 months, Tae-hyun brought home divorce papers. He didn't say anything. Just set them on the kitchen counter where she was washing bottles. She looked at the folder, then at him. "What is this?" "I think you know." Her hands were shaking, soap dripping onto the floor. "You're divorcing me?" "It's not working, Adesola. We have 3-month-old babies, I know. 4 of them, I know. And you're leaving?" He looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in weeks. "I'm suffocating. This isn't the life I signed up for. You signed up when you married me, when you got me pregnant. I didn't sign up for 4 kids at once, for a wife who can't manage. Can't manage? I'm doing this alone. You're never here. Because being here makes it worse. The crying, the chaos, the guilt. I can't breathe in this house. So you're running away. I'm making a clean break before it gets messier." "Messier? We have 4 children together. It's already as messy as it gets." He walked to the window, looked out at nothing. "My mother was right," he said quietly. "This was a mistake." "What was a mistake? The babies or marrying me?" "Both." The word hit like a slap. Adesola set down the bottle she was washing, dried her hands slowly. "Get out," she said. "Adesola, get out of this house, right now." "This is my house." "No, it's your mother's house. You've just been pretending it's yours. Now get out before I call the police."
Welcome to AfroKWave-Tv. Please kindly subscribe as promised to bring you more engaging stories each day.
He looked at her like he was seeing someone new, someone he didn't recognize. "You have 2 weeks to sign the papers," he said. "My lawyer will be in touch." He left. Adesola stood in the kitchen until she heard his car pull away. Then she collapsed on the floor and sobbed. The lawyer's name was Kim Sung-min. He showed up at her door 5 days after Tae-hyun left. Expensive suit, expensive briefcase. The kind of lawyer you hired when you wanted to destroy someone legally and sleep well afterwards. "Mrs. Choi," he said with a slight bow. "It's Okonkwo," she corrected. "I kept my name." Of course, he didn't write it down. "May I come in?" She should have said no, should have told him to talk to her lawyer. Except she didn't have a lawyer. She let him in. They sat in the formal living room, the museum. He set his briefcase on the coffee table with practiced precision. "I'll be direct," he said. "Mr. Choi wants a clean, amicable divorce. No fighting, no media attention, just a simple dissolution." "Amicable," Adesola repeated. "He wants to abandon his wife and 4 infant sons and call it amicable." "He's not abandoning anyone. He's prepared to be very generous." Kim pulled out documents, spread them across the table like he was dealing cards. "You'll receive a one-time settlement of 200 million won. The house will be sold and proceeds split evenly. You'll have full custody of the children with reasonable visitation rights for Mr. Choi." Adesola stared at the numbers. 200 million won, about 150 USD, to raise 4 children, alone, in a country where she had no family, no support system. That's generous. How modest? 500,000 won per month, per child. 2 million won total, about 1,500,000 things for 4 children, in Seoul, one of the most expensive cities in the world. "This is a joke," she said. "This is what Mr. Choi is offering. You're welcome to negotiate, but I should warn you, if this goes to court, things will become complicated." "Complicated how?" Kim leaned forward. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes sharpened. "You're a foreign national, Nigerian, in Korea on a spousal visa that will expire the moment the divorce is finalized. You have no employment, no independent income, no family support in this country. I have 4 Korean children. Yes, and Mr. Choi is concerned about their well-being, about whether a single foreign mother can adequately provide for them in an unfamiliar country, about whether they might be better served in the care of their grandmother who has significant resources, and he's threatening to take my children. He's expressing concern about their welfare. It's the same thing." Kim collected his documents, put them back in his briefcase. "You have until the end of the week to sign. If you don't, Mr. Choi will file for divorce with a request for full custody, and he will win. You don't know that. Hello, viewers. Let me ask you a question. What do you think she would have done? Sign the divorce? If you were involved in a situation like this, what would you do? Tell us in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be part of our audience and community." "Mrs. Okonkwo," he stood up. "I've been practicing family law in Korea for 20 years. I know exactly how these cases go. Foreign mothers, Korean fathers with money and connections. The outcome is always the same." He left his card on the table. "Think about your children, about what's best for them, not your pride." After he left, Adesola sat alone in the museum. 4 babies upstairs sleeping, for now. A divorce settlement that was barely enough to survive on, and a threat hanging over her head like a guillotine. She picked up her phone, called the only person she could think of. Chi-Chi answered on the first ring. "He wants to take them," Adesola said. No hello, no preamble. "He's threatening to take my babies." "Then you fight." "With what? I have no money, no lawyer. No, you have us. Mama and I will send what we can, and you find a lawyer, a good one. You fight, Adesola. I'm tired of fighting. Then you get tired later, after you've won. Finding a lawyer was harder than she expected. The first 3 she contacted took one look at her case and declined. Politely, professionally. But the message was clear. She was a losing bet. The 4th lawyer was different. Park Min-ji was in her 50s, wore no makeup, had an office in an old building in Mapo that smelled like cigarette smoke and instant coffee. She listened to Adesola's story without interrupting, then said, "You're fucked." "Excuse me?" "Legally, you're completely fucked. Foreign national, no income, 4 babies, husband with unlimited resources, and a family lawyer who's never lost a custody case." Minji leaned back in her chair. Any other lawyer would tell you to take the settlement and run. Are you any other lawyer? No, I'm the lawyer who hates rich assholes who think they can buy their way out of her responsibility. She pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything, and I mean everything. When did he stop coming home? What did his mother say? Does he have any addiction issues? Infidelity? Anything I can use. Adesola told her everything. About the absent nights, the cold distance, the way he looked at the babies like they were a mistake. That's not enough, Minji said. Korean courts favor mothers in custody cases, but they also favor stability. And right now, on paper, you look unstable. No job, expiring visa, dependent on your ex's goodwill. So what do I do? You prove you're not going anywhere. Get a job. Any job. Show you can provide for these kids independently, and you document everything, every missed visit, every late support payment, every time Tae-hyun or his mother does something that shows they don't actually care about these children. He's their father. He must care. Does he? Has he visited since he moved out? Adesola realized he hadn't. 5 days, and not even a phone call to ask about the babies. That's what I thought, Minji said. This isn't about the children for him. It's about control, about winning. We're going to take that away from him. How much is this going to cost? Minji named a number that made Adesola's stomach drop. I can't afford that. I know, which is why you're going to pay me a small retainer now, and the rest in installments. I'll also take this case pro bono if needed, because fuck these people. Adesola felt tears burning her eyes. Why are you helping me? Because 20 years ago, I was you, different circumstances, same power dynamic. I lost my case, lost my daughter, and I've spent every day since making sure other women don't lose theirs. Getting a job with 4 3-month-old babies was impossible, until it wasn't. Adesola found a remote position with an international law firm, contract work, translating documents, Nigerian law to Korean to English. It paid barely anything, but it was something. She worked during nap times, during late nights when the babies finally slept, during any stolen moment she could grab. The nanny Mrs. Choi had hired quit after the divorce papers were filed. Mrs. Choi says I no longer work for this family, she'd said apologetically. So, Adesola was truly alone. 4 babies, no help, working remotely while trying not to drown. At 4 months, Jin-woo got sick, high fever, wouldn't eat, just cried and cried. She took him to the hospital at 2 a.m., left the other 3 with a neighbor she barely knew who looked terrified at the prospect. Respiratory infection, the doctor said. He'll need antibiotics, monitoring. Is the father here? No. Can you call him? He won't come. The doctor looked at her with something like pity. You should call anyway. He has a right to know his son is sick. Adesola called Tae-hyun from the hospital. He answered on the 8th ring. It's 2 in the morning. Jin-woo is sick. We're at the hospital. Silence. Which hospital? She told him. I'll send someone. I need you. Your son needs you. I'm in Busan. I can't just... Your infant son is sick, potentially seriously sick, and you're worried about logistics? Don't do this, Adesola. Do what? Ask you to be a father? I'll wire money to the hospital for any treatment he needs. I don't want your money. I want you to care. I do care. Then prove it. Get in your car and drive here. Sit with your son. Hold him. Show him he has a father who gives a damn. The line went dead. He didn't come. He didn't send anyone. He didn't call back. Jin-woo recovered after 3 days in the hospital. Adesola went home exhausted, broke, and carrying documentation that Tae-hyun hadn't shown up for his sick child. Minji added it to the growing file. At 5 months, Mrs. Choi showed up unannounced. Adesola was feeding the babies, all 4 lined up in their bouncy seats, bottles propped carefully. She'd gotten good at the logistics, at making one person do the work of 4. Mrs. Choi walked in without knocking. She still had a key. You look terrible, she said by way of greeting. Thank you. I'm not trying to be cruel, just honest. Adesola didn't respond, just kept feeding her sons. Mrs. Choi sat down, uninvited, unwelcome. I want to make you an offer, she said, a better one than what Tae-hyun proposed. I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet. I don't need to. Whatever you're offering comes with strings, conditions, ways for you to control me. I'm offering you freedom. Mrs. Choi pulled an envelope from her purse, set it on the coffee table. 500 million won, cash, tax-free. You take it and go home to Nigeria. The children stay here with me. Adesola stopped moving. I looked at the envelope. 500 million won, almost $400,000 USD, life-changing money. You want to buy my children. I want to give them a life you can't provide, stability, education, a future in their own country. I'm their mother, and I'm their grandmother. I can give them everything. You can't even afford a night nurse. I'm managing. Are you? Look at yourself, Adesola. You're 29 years old and you look 50. You're working yourself to death for children who will grow up resenting you for keeping them from their culture, their family, their birthright. Their birthright is me, their mother, the woman who carried them, birthed them, feeds them every day. The woman who's destroying herself out of pride. Mrs. Choi stood up. The offer expires in 24 hours. After that, we go to court. And you lose. You know you lose. Maybe, but at least I'll lose knowing I fought for my children. Can you say the same? Something flickered across Mrs. Choi's face. Something that looked almost like respect. Then it was gone. 24 hours, she repeated. She left. The envelope stayed on the table. Adesola stared at it for a long time, then threw it in the trash. The custody hearing was scheduled for the baby's 6-month birthday. Adesola showed up with Minji, dressed in her best suit, hair done, makeup covering the exhaustion, looking like she hadn't spent the previous night up with 4 teething babies. Tae-hyun showed up with Kim Sung-min and 3 other lawyers, a legal army designed to intimidate. It worked. They sat on opposite sides of the courtroom, didn't look at each other, didn't speak. The judge was a woman in her 60s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense expression. She reviewed the filings, the evidence, the statements. Then she looked at Tae-hyun. Mr. Choi, you're requesting full custody of your 4 sons? Yes, Your Honor. On what grounds? on the grounds that their mother cannot adequately provide for them. She has no stable income, no family support in Korea, and is facing visa issues that could result in deportation. And you believe you can provide better care? I believe my mother can. She has agreed to be the primary caregiver with appropriate financial support from me. So you're not planning to raise these children yourself? Tae-hyun hesitated. I work long hours. My mother is retired and has the time and resources. So, you want to take these children from their mother and give them to their grandmother. While you continue working long hours and seeing them, how often? As often as my schedule allows. Which is how often? Currently? Silence. Mr. Choi, how many times have you seen your sons since filing for divorce? More silence. Answer the question. Twice, Tae-hyun admitted quietly. Twice, in 6 weeks. I've been busy, too busy to see your infant sons, the ones you're claiming to want full custody of. The judge turned to Adesola. Ms. Okonkwo, you're working remotely, correct? Yes, Your Honor. And managing 4 infants alone? Yes. That must be exhausting. It is, but they're my children. I'll do whatever it takes. Do you plan to stay in Korea? If I'm allowed to, I've applied for a parent visa. My children are Korean citizens. I believe that gives me the right to remain here as their primary caregiver. And if your visa is denied, Adesola's throat tightened. Then I'll take my sons home to Nigeria, where my family will help me raise them. You'd take Korean children out of Korea? I'd take my children wherever I need to in order to keep them safe and loved. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I'm going to issue a temporary custody arrangement. Ms. Okonkwo retains primary physical custody. Mr. Choi will have supervised visitation twice weekly. Child support will be set at 1 million won per child per month, adjusted for inflation annually. Kim Sung-min stood up. Your Honor, that's 4 million won per month is more than reasonable for a man of Mr. Choi's means. This hearing is adjourned. We'll reconvene in 6 months for permanent custody determination. She banged her gavel. Adesola couldn't breathe. She'd won. Temporarily. Partially. But she'd won. Outside the courthouse, Tae-hyun caught up with her. Adesola, wait, she turned. What? Can we talk? Your lawyers can talk to my lawyer. I'm not talking about the case. I'm talking about us. There is no us. There are 4 kids. That makes an us whether we like it or not. She studied his face, looking for something. Regret, guilt, anything human. Found nothing. You have supervised visitation twice a week, she said. Show up or don't, but don't pretend this is about the kids. This is about you not wanting to lose. That's not fair. Fair? She laughed. Sharp. Bitter. You filed for divorce 3 months after I gave birth to your children. You haven't seen them in 6 weeks. You tried to take them away from me using your money and your mother's influence. Don't talk to me about fair. I made mistakes. You made choices. Own them. She walked away. This time, he didn't follow. Tae-hyun showed up for his first supervised visitation 3 days later. The social worker, a kind woman named Lee My-sun, looked uncomfortable. He called, said something came up at work. Of course he did. The second visit, he came, stayed exactly 1 hour, held each baby for approximately 7 minutes, looked at his watch the entire time. They've grown, he said. They do that. Jin-woo looks like my father. Does he? Not a question, just acknowledgement. I'm trying, Adesola. Are you? Because it looks like you're checking boxes, fulfilling court requirements. What do you want from me? I want you to love them, to actually want to be here instead of treating it like an obligation. I do want to be here. Liar. He looked at her. Really looked. You used to believe the best in people. That was before people showed me who they really were. At 7 months, the money stopped coming. The child support, the medical payments, everything. Adesola is called Minji. He's in violation of the court order, Minji said. We can file a motion. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. I don't have weeks. I have bills due now. 4 babies who need formula and diapers, and I know, I'm sorry, the system isn't built for urgency. Adesola hung up, stared at her bank account. 12,001, about $9 or USD. She called Tae-hyun directly. The money stopped. I know. Why? Because I'm done paying for a mistake. The words hit like ice water. A mistake. Your children are a mistake. This whole situation is a mistake. I never wanted 4 kids. Never wanted this life. You trapped me. I trapped you. You got me pregnant. And you wouldn't consider reduction. Wouldn't even discuss it. Reduction. He meant selective reduction. Terminating some of the fetuses. You wanted me to. I wanted options. You gave me ultimatums. Because they're human beings, our children. They're obligations I never agreed to. Adesola felt something break inside her chest. You're right, she said, quietly. You never agreed to this, to being a father, a husband, a decent human being. So let me make this easy for you. Don't come to visitation anymore. Don't call. Don't pay. Just disappear. It's what you've wanted since the day they were born. Adesola, I mean it. They're better off with no father than one who sees them as a mistake. She hung up, then broke down crying in front of 4 7-month-old babies who had no idea their father had just disowned them. She sold everything, the furniture Mrs. Choi had bought, the expensive stroller, designer baby clothes still in their packaging, made enough to cover 2 months of bills. Chi-Chi sent what she could. Their mother sent more. Both scraped together from people who barely had anything themselves. Adesola found a cheaper apartment, small, 2 bedrooms. The babies would have to share rooms, but at least it was affordable. The move happened on a Tuesday. She packed everything herself. 4 babies in carriers, while she loaded boxes into a borrowed van. The new apartment was in Nowon, 40 minutes north of Gangnam, a different world, no museum living room, no 42 rooms, just 4 walls and a determination not to break. At 8 months, Mrs. Choi showed up at the new apartment. Adesola opened the door, didn't let her in. What do you want? To see my grandsons. You gave up that right when you tried to buy them. I'm not here to fight. I'm here because... Mrs. Choi's voice wavered. Because I was wrong. Adesola blinked. What? About you, about what you could provide. I thought money was everything, that resources meant love. But I've watched you fight for these boys, sacrifice for them, and I realize... She stopped, composed herself. I realize you're a better mother than I ever was. Why are you saying this? Because Tae-hyun stopped the money, because you're struggling, and because regardless of our past, those boys are my blood, and I can't stand by while they suffer because of my son's cruelty. She held out an envelope. It's not a bribe, it's not conditional, it's just help. From a grandmother who was too proud to see what mattered. Adesola looked at the envelope, then at Mrs. Choi's face, saw something she'd never seen before, remorse. I don't trust you, Adesola said. I don't blame you, but take it anyway. For them. She left the envelope and walked away. Adesola opened it later. 10 million won, about 7,500. Enough to breathe, to survive, to keep fighting. She cried while feeding the babies that night, not from sadness, from relief. The final custody hearing was scheduled for the baby's first birthday. Adesola showed up ready for war. Minji had built a case, documentation of every missed visit, every late payment, every moment Taehyun had proven he didn't want these children. They sat in court, same judge, different energy. We're here to determine permanent custody of 4 minor children, the judge said. Mr. Choi, you're requesting split. Custody? Taehyun stood. No, Your Honor. Everyone froze. I'm requesting termination of my parental rights. The courtroom exploded in whispers. You want to terminate? Yes. I acknowledge I'm not capable of being the father these children need. Ms. Okonkwo has proven she is more than capable. I'm requesting full custody go to her with no visitation rights for me. And child support? I'll continue payments until they're 18, but I want no other involvement. The judge looked at him with something like disgust. You're abandoning your children. I'm setting them free, she turned to Adesola. Ms. Okonkwo? Adesola couldn't speak, couldn't process. He was giving up, walking away, erasing himself. Do you accept these terms? Did she? Part of her wanted to fight, to force him to be a father, to make him understand what he was throwing away. But another part, the part that had been fighting alone for a year, just wanted it to end. Yes, she whispered. I accept. Then it's settled. Full custody to the mother. Child support continues monthly. Parental rights terminated voluntarily by the father. The gavel fell. It was over. After the hearing, Adesola sat in the courthouse bathroom for 20 minutes, not crying, just sitting, processing the fact that her sons would grow up without a father, that she'd won, but it felt like losing. Minji found her eventually. You okay? I don't know. You got everything you wanted, full custody, no interference, guaranteed support. I wanted my children to have a father. They have a mother. That's more than enough. But was it? Adesola stood up, washed her face, looked at herself in the mirror, 29 years old, looked 40, felt 60. What happens now? She asked. Now you raise 4 boys, and you do it without anyone telling you how. Hello, amazing people. If you have watched to this point, kindly tell us how you feel about this whole drama and situation. Hit the subscription button to be part of our growing audience. The first year alone was brutal. 4 babies turning into 4 toddlers, learning to walk, to talk, to test every boundary. Adesola worked from home, translated documents while breaking up fights over toys, wrote legal briefs while changing diapers, made it work through sheer force of will. Mrs. Choi visited twice a month, brought groceries, money, help when Adesola was too proud to ask for it. They didn't become friends, but they became something. Allies, maybe. United by 4 boys who had their father's eyes and their mother's stubbornness. He asks about them sometimes, Mrs. Choi said one day. The boys were 2, playing in the living room. Controlled chaos. Taehyun? Yes, when he comes for dinner, he asks how they're doing, what they look like, if they're healthy. But he doesn't visit. No. Why are you telling me this? Mrs. Choi watched the boys. Ji-hoon had just pushed Jin-woo. Jin-woo was crying. Min-jun was trying to mediate. Jae-sung was ignoring all of them, focused on his blocks. Because I want you to know he thinks about them. even if he can't act on it. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you understand. Tae-hyun isn't cruel. He's broken. He sees those boys and sees his own failures, his own inadequacy. So he runs. That's not an excuse. No, but it's an explanation. Adesola didn't respond, because understanding didn't change anything. The boys still had no father, and she was still alone. When the boys were 3, Adesola got a job offer, full-time position, international law firm in Seoul, good salary, benefits, everything she'd been working toward. But it meant daycare, long hours, time away from her sons. She agonized over it for weeks, then accepted, because she needed to build something, not just survive, but actually build a future. The boys started daycare at a Korean immersion school. They cried the first week. Adesola cried harder. But they adjusted. Kids always did. And slowly, gradually, life became manageable. Not easy, never easy, but manageable. The boys were 4 when they started asking about their father. "Why don't we have a daddy?" Minjun asked one night at dinner. Adesola had been dreading this question for 4 years. "You do have a daddy. He just doesn't live with us." "Why not?" "Because sometimes adults make choices that are hard to understand." "Does he love us?" The question broke her heart. "I don't know, baby. I hope so." "Can we meet him?" "Maybe someday, when you're older." "How much older?" "We'll see." It wasn't a good answer, but it was the only one she had. When the boys were 5, Tae-hyun remarried. Adesola found out from a news article, society pages, pictures of him with a young Korean woman, beautiful, elegant, everything Adesola wasn't. The wedding had been private, exclusive. His mother was quoted saying how happy she was to welcome her new daughter-in-law. The same mother who'd tried to buy Adesola's children. She showed the article to Minji over coffee. "Are you okay?" Minji asked. "I don't know. Should I be angry? Hurt? I don't feel anything." "That's normal. You've moved on." "Have I? Or have I just gotten numb?" Minji didn't answer, because they both knew the truth. Adesola hadn't moved on. She'd just learned to carry the weight without collapsing. 6 months later, Mrs. Choi showed up with news. Tae-hyun's wife is pregnant. Adesola was folding laundry. The boys were at school. The apartment was quiet. "Congratulations to them. It's a girl." Adesola's hand stopped moving. A girl. The thing Mrs. Choi had wanted. The thing Adesola hadn't been able to give. "I'm happy for them," she lied. "Are you?" "Why wouldn't I be? It's not my life anymore." "But it affects your sons. They'll have a half-sister, one their father actually wants." The cruelty of it hit her. 4 boys Tae-hyun had abandoned. 1 daughter he'd probably cherish. "Don't tell them," Adesola said. "Not yet. They're too young to understand." "When will they be old enough?" "I don't know. Maybe never." The girl was born in December, the boy's 6th birthday month. Adesola saw photos on social media. Tae-hyun holding his daughter, looking at her like she was the answer to every question, the same man who'd called his sons a mistake. She closed the laptop, went to pick up her boys from school. They ran to her like they always did, 4 separate bodies crashing into her at once. "Mommy, did you have a good day?" They all talked at once, told her about their classes, their friends, the drawing Jinwoo made, the fight Ji-hoon had gotten into, Minjun's new book, Jae-sung's silence. He was the quiet one, always watching. She drove them home, made dinner, helped with homework, read bedtime stories, tucked each one in, kissed each forehead. "I love you," she whispered to each of them. Love you too, Mommy. She stood in their doorway after they fell asleep. 4 boys who'd never asked to be born, who'd been called mistakes, who'd been abandoned by their father, but who were loved fiercely, completely, by her, and that would have to be enough. When the boys were 7, Jae-sung asked the question that changed everything. Mommy, why doesn't Daddy want us? They were at the park. The other 3 were playing. Jae-sung had stayed back, sitting next to her on the bench. He was the observer, the thinker, the one who noticed things. What makes you think he doesn't want you? Adesola asked carefully. Because he never comes, never calls. We have a daddy, but we don't, so he must not want us. Baby, it's complicated. Kids at school say we don't have a daddy because we're black, because Korean daddies don't want black kids. Adesola's blood went cold. Who said that? Some boys. They say we're not really Korean, that we're pretending. She pulled him close. Listen to me. You are Korean. You were born here. Your father is Korean. That makes you Korean. Don't let anyone tell you different. But why doesn't he want us? I don't know, baby. I wish I did. But it's not because of you. It's because of him. He's broken in a way I can't fix. Can we fix him? No, some people don't want to be fixed. Jae-sung was quiet for a moment. Then, I think I hate him. Don't hate him. He's still your father. But you said he doesn't want us? I said he's broken. That's different. It feels the same. He was right. It did feel the same. That night, after the boys were asleep, Adesola did something she'd sworn she'd never do. She called Tae-hyun. He answered on the 3rd ring. Adesola? Your son said something today, Jae-sung. He asked why you don't want them. Silence. Are you there? I'm here. Well, what am I supposed to tell him? How do I explain that their father chose to walk away? I didn't choose. Yes, you did. You chose every single day for 7 years. You chose to terminate your rights. You chose to remarry and have another child. You chose to pretend your sons don't exist. That's not fair. Fair? They're being bullied at school, called not really Korean because they're half black, because they don't have a father who claims them. Do you know what that does to a child? What do you want me to do? I want you to be their father. I want you to show up, to call, to prove to them that they matter. I can't or won't. Both. The honesty gutted her. Why? Because when I look at them, all I see is my failure, my weakness, my inability to be what they needed, and I can't carry that. So you make them carry it instead. I know, I'm a coward. I've always been a coward. Then do one brave thing. Meet them. Just once. Let them see you're real, that you exist. Give them that. Adesola, please, not for me, for them. He was quiet for so long, she thought he'd hung up. Then, okay, once, but that's all I can promise. The meeting was arranged for a Sunday, neutral location, a park in Gangnam. Adesola told the boys they were meeting someone special. They asked questions. She deflected. When they arrived, Tae-hyun was already there, standing by a bench, looking terrified. The boys saw him and stopped. Who's that? Min-jun asked. Adesola knelt down. I looked at all 4 of them. That's your father. They stared, processing. That's Daddy? Ji-hoon asked. Yes. Why doesn't he look like us? Because you're both Korean and Nigerian. You look like both of us. Jinwoo started walking toward Tae-hyun. The others followed, cautious, curious. Adesola stayed back. Let them meet him without her hovering. She watched from a distance. Taehyun crouched down, said something she couldn't hear. The boys surrounded him, asking questions probably, touching his face, comparing features, looking for themselves in him. After 20 minutes, Taehyun stood up. I looked at Adesola across the park. She walked over. "They're beautiful," he said, quietly. "I know. They look like you. They look like both of us. I don't deserve them. No, you don't. But they deserve to know you exist." He looked at the boys. They'd gone back to playing, already losing interest. "I can't be their father, not the way they need." "I know. But maybe I could be something. Uncle, friend, something. They don't need an uncle. They have uncles. They need their father to stop being a coward. I don't know how. Figure it out, because I'm done protecting you from them. They're going to have questions about why you left, why you don't visit, why their half-sister gets you and they don't. They know about? Not yet, but they will. Kids always find out." Taehyun sat down on the bench, put his head in his hands. "I've ruined everything." "Yes, you have, but you can start fixing it. Right now. Today." "How?" "By showing up. Next week, and the week after, and every week after that. By being consistent. By proving you mean it. And if I fail again, then you fail, but at least you tried. That's more than you've done in 7 years." He showed up the next week, and the week after, and the week after that. Not as a father. He didn't know how to be that yet, but as someone trying. The boys were wary at first, then curious. Then slowly, cautiously, they started to accept him. Not as daddy. That word was still too big, too loaded. But as Taehyun, the man who showed up, who brought books, who asked about school. It wasn't enough, but it was something. When the boys were 8, Taehyun invited them to meet their half-sister. Adesola's first instinct was to say no, to protect them from the comparison, from seeing the daughter their father actually wanted. But they deserved to know their sister. So she said yes. The meeting was at Taehyun's house, his new house, the one he shared with his new wife and daughter. Adesola dropped the boys off, didn't go in. "Call me when you're ready to be picked up," she told them. "You're not staying?" Minjun asked. "This is time with your father. I'll be close by." She went to a cafe, worked on her laptop, tried not to think about her sons in that house. Meeting the daughter who'd had everything they hadn't, her phone rang 2 hours later. "Mommy, can you come get us?" "Is everything okay?" "Yeah, we just want to go home now." She picked them up. They were quiet in the car. "How was it?" she asked finally. "She's cute," Jihoon said. "The baby. She laughed when I made faces." "Did you like meeting her?" "I guess. She's just a baby, though. Babies are boring." "What about your father's wife?" "She was nice. She made snacks, asked us about school." "And your father?" Silence. "He was weird," Jae-sung said finally. "He acted like he didn't know us, like we were strangers." "You kind of are strangers," Adesola said gently. "You're still getting to know each other." He knows her, though. The baby. He held her the whole time, talked to her, smiled at her. That's because she's little. She needs more attention. He didn't hold us when we were little. The observation cut through her. "No," she admitted. "He didn't." "Why not?" "Because he was scared and broken and made terrible choices. That's not fair." "No, it's not." They drove home in silence. That night, putting them to bed, Jinwoo asked, "Do you think he'll always like her more?" "I don't know, baby." "I think he will, because she's all Korean. We're only half. You're not only anything, you're perfect exactly as you are. But we're different from her. Different isn't less. Different is just different. Then why does it feel less? Adesola had no answer, because it did feel less, and she couldn't protect them from that truth. When the boys turned 10, everything changed. They were old enough now to understand, to see patterns, to feel the inequality. Taehyun had been consistent for 2 years. Weekly visits, birthday presents, school events occasionally, but there was always a distance, always a sense that he was performing duty rather than expressing love, and the boys felt it. "I don't want to see him anymore," Jae-sung announced one day. "Why not?" "Because it hurts more when he's there than when he's not." "What do you mean?" "When he's not there, I can pretend he's busy, working, doing important things. But when he is there, I can see he doesn't want to be. He's checking his watch, looking at his phone, waiting for it to be over. Maybe he's just nervous. He's not nervous with her, with Minseo. I saw him at her birthday party. He was happy, really happy, like being a father wasn't torture." Adesola's heart broke. "I'm sorry, baby. Why are you apologizing? You're the one who's always here, who actually wants us." "He wants you too. He's just broken. I know. You keep saying that. But maybe broken people shouldn't have kids if they can't love them." He was right. God help her. He was right. She confronted Taehyun the next week. "The boys don't want to see you anymore." They were at a coffee shop, neutral ground. He'd aged well. Money did that, made everything easier. "What? They're done. They can see you don't want to be there, that you're forcing it, and it's hurting them more than helping." "I'm trying." "You're trying to ease your guilt. That's different than actually wanting a relationship with your sons." "That's not fair." "Stop saying that's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. Those boys have spent 10 years watching their father choose everyone else. Your work, your new family, your daughter. Everyone gets your real affection except them." "I love them." "Do you? Because love is action, and your actions have been pretty clear." Taehyun stared into his coffee. "I don't know how to be their father. I missed too much. Those first years, the bonding, the work. You missed the work. And now you want the reward without having earned it. So what do? You let them go. You stop showing up and making them hope. You'll change. You just let them move on. That's what you want? It's what they need." He was quiet for a long time. "Okay," he said finally. "If that's what's best." "It is. But the money continues. The support. I won't abandon them financially." "We don't want your money. Adesola, we don't want your money. We want nothing from you. You're released, free. You can forget you ever had 4 sons." "I could never forget, then live with the guilt, but leave us alone." She walked out, didn't look back. Life without Taehyun was lighter. The boys stopped asking, stopped hoping, stopped getting disappointed. They focused on school, friends, soccer, taekwondo, all the things 10-year-old boys cared about. Adesola focused on her career, got promoted, made more money, built a life that didn't depend on anyone. Mrs. Choi still visited, still helped, had become more grandmother than enemy. "He asks about them," she said one day. "I don't care. He regrets. He should. But regret doesn't change anything. Actions do, and his actions have been consistent. He doesn't want them." "That's not true." "Then where is he? It's been 8 months, no calls, no visits. He chose his comfort over his children. Again." Mrs. Choi didn't argue. because there was no argument. When the boys were 12, they started asking about Nigeria. "What's it like?" Minjun asked. "Where you're from?" "Hot, loud, crowded, beautiful." "Do we have family there?" "Yes, grandma, aunties, uncles, cousins, so many cousins." "Why don't we ever visit?" "Because money was tight. Because taking 4 kids internationally was expensive. Because Adesola had been focused on surviving, not visiting." "Maybe next year," she said, "for summer vacation." "Really? Really?" She made it happen, sold things, saved aggressively, called in favors, got 4 tickets to Lagos for July. Nigeria was overwhelming, the heat, the noise, the chaos. Everything Adesola had left behind. But her family, God, her family. Her mother cried when she saw the boys, pulled them all into her arms at once. "My grandbabies, finally, finally." Chichi had 4 kids of her own now. The boys had instant friends, instant family. They spent 2 weeks there, swimming, playing, eating, laughing, being completely, utterly accepted. No questions about why they looked different, why they didn't have a father, why they existed. Just love, pure, uncomplicated. On the last day, Ji-hoon said, "I wish we could stay here forever." "Why?" "Because here we're not different. We're just us." Adesola understood. In Korea, they were half, foreign, other. Here, they were just her sons, whole. They went back to Seoul, back to school, routine, reality. But something had shifted. The boys were more confident, more settled, like they'd found a missing piece of themselves. One night, Jae-sung asked, "Mommy, do you ever regret having us?" "Never, not once. Not even when things were hard. Especially not then. You 4 are the only good thing that came from that marriage." "Do you hate him? Our father?" Did she? She'd spent years being angry, hurt, betrayed. But hate? "No," she said finally. "I don't hate him. I pity him." "Why?" "Because he has 4 incredible sons, and he'll never know them. That's his loss, his tragedy, not yours." "Does he know that?" "I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You don't need him to know your worth. You just need to know it yourselves." When the boys were 13, Tae-hyun showed up at their school, unannounced, unexpected. The principal called Adesola. "There's a man here claiming to be the boy's father. Should we—" "Don't let him near them. I'm coming." She arrived in 20 minutes, found Tae-hyun in the lobby, looking desperate. "What are you doing here? I need to see them." "No." "Adesola, please." "You lost that right. You walked away. You don't get to just show up 3 years later. I made a mistake. You made 1,000 mistakes, and now you live with them. I'm their father. Biologically, that's all. You're not their dad. You're not the person they call when they're scared or excited or need advice. You're just the man who shares their DNA. I want to change that. Too late. It's never too late. It is for them. They've moved on. They have a life that doesn't include you, and I'm not letting you disrupt it because you're suddenly feeling guilty." My daughter asked about them. There it was. Minseo? Yes, she saw a photo, asked why she didn't know her brothers, and I realized what? That you have 4 sons you abandoned? That you chose one child over 4 others? That you're a coward? All of that, yes. And now you want redemption. I want to try. You don't get to try anymore. You're done. We're done. Leave my sons alone. She started to walk away. Adesola. She stopped, didn't turn around. I'm sorry for everything, for being weak, for failing them, for failing you. I'm sorry. Your sorry doesn't fix anything. I know, but I need you to hear it. I'm sorry. She left without responding, because sorry was just a word, and words had never been enough. The boys were 28 when Adesola got the call. Taehyun was dying. Cancer, aggressive, terminal. He wanted to see them. She told them, left the choice to them. They talked among themselves, debated, argued. Finally, Jae-sung spoke for all of them. We'll go, once, to say goodbye. Are you sure? No, but he's still our father, even if he was a terrible one. They went together, all 5 of them. Taehyun was in a private hospital room, thin, gray, barely recognizable. His wife was there, his daughter, 17 now, beautiful, nervous. The boys stood at the foot of his bed, not approaching, not touching. Taehyun looked at them, tears streaming down his face. You came, he whispered. We almost didn't, Jihoon said. I wouldn't have blamed you. We know. Silence. Heavy, loaded with 28 years of abandonment. I'm sorry, Taehyun said. I know it doesn't mean anything, but I'm sorry for all of it. Why did you do it? Minjun asked. Why did you leave? Because I was scared and selfish, and I convinced myself you'd be better off without me. Were we? I don't know. Maybe. You turned out incredible, despite me. Because of Mom, Jinwoo corrected. She did everything. I know. She's extraordinary. I never deserved her. You didn't deserve us either, Jae-sung said. But we're here anyway. Taehyun nodded, closed his eyes. Can I ask you something? He said finally. What? Do you hate me? The boys looked at each other. No, Jae-sung said. We don't hate you. We just don't know you. You're a stranger who happens to be our father. That's worse than hate. Maybe, but it's honest. Taehyun died 2 weeks later. The boys went to the funeral, stood in the back, didn't cry. His wife approached them after, Minseo beside her. Thank you for coming, she said. It meant everything to him. Did it? Jihoon asked. Or did it just ease his guilt? She didn't answer. Minseo looked at them, her brothers, strangers who shared her blood. I'd like to know you, she said quietly, if that's okay. The boys looked at each other. Maybe, Jae-sung said finally. Someday. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. It was possibility, and that was enough. Hello there, are you coming along with us? If this story catches your attention, kindly subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the next video. Let us know where you are watching from by dropping a comment here. Adesola was 57 when she finally let herself feel it. All of it. The pain, the rage, the exhaustion, the triumph. She'd raised 4 sons alone, put them through university, watched them become men. Good men. Men who knew their worth, who loved fiercely, who showed up. Everything their father hadn't been. She sat in her apartment, a nice one now, earned through years of work, and looked at photos. 4 babies, 4 toddlers, 4 teenagers, 4 men, her sons, her proof that love was enough, that one parent's presence could outweigh another's absence, that broken beginnings didn't mean broken endings. She'd won. Not the way she'd imagined, not the fairy tale she'd hoped for, but she'd won. And that was enough. The divorce papers had promised a clean break. But there was nothing clean about 4 sons growing up, wondering why their father chose to leave. Nothing clean about a woman who rebuilt herself from ash. Nothing clean about love that survived abandonment. The debt was paid, not by Taehyun, who died carrying his guilt, but by Adesola, who lived carrying her sons. And in that small apartment, where 4 boys had become 4 men, peace finally came. Not because anyone deserved it, but because one woman had chosen, every single day for 28 years to be enough. And she was. She was enough. Hello viewers, having come this far with us on this story, we really want to appreciate your stay here with us and would like to know what you feel about this story. Tell us in the comments section if you need an episode 2 of this story. Do not forget, we care about your perception here and will want to improve every day till you are satisfied. Thank you for watching this video. Please kindly subscribe to this channel and fasten your seatbelt, and we will bring to you another intriguing story tomorrow.